Oh, hey there again, Ram fans. I'm Ella Frerickson, back in the studio for the third time this week. Here to send you off to spring break the right way with your Thursday night sports wrap-up entering the weekend. So let's just get right into the action, shall we? Now, while I definitely didn't expect this one coming after the way Coach Williams and crew ended off their regular season with back-to-back L's against SDSU, hated rival Wyoming, and of course, conference-leading UNLV, Rams women's hoops actually had a chance to take the Mountain West tournament last night. Thanks to, I guess you could say, a little revenge tour they've been on recently, upsetting not one, but two higher seeds in the Pokes and then surprisingly New Mexico. Teams that both took them down earlier on in the year. In the Sin City, it's pretty clear to see that CSU's squad has been, well, slowly but surely riding the wave, just like Coach Williams has been preaching all season. So were they able to surf this momentum all the way to bid an unexpected bid in the Big Dance? Well, not exactly, with this magical run for the Rams down in Vegas ending in a disappointing way. 75-65 for their third L to the Rebs this year. On their home floor, I might add, and even if this is supposed to be an even playing field for the conference tournament. So how did things end up this way, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. In women's hoops, the Mountain West is a one-bid league, which means UNLV needed this one just as much as CSU did in order to go dancing. And they definitely played with that type of urgency from the jump, taking it to the Rams early and often, quickly going up 5 by the end of the first after the green and gold scored the matchup's first 6. And they managed to extend that lead all the way up to 12 midway through the second quarter. But like they have all year, even though they stared a massive deficit right in the face, CSU did anything but back down, clawing their way back into things and cutting the deficit to only 5 points by the end of the third. And after an and one basket from McKenna Hofschild with 4 minutes or so left, the green and gold somehow only found themselves down 1 against the strong UNLV squad. But unfortunately, this is exactly where it seemed like the Rams just ran out of gas in the tank, with the Rebs grabbing some free throws and a key three-pointer from their star Essence Booker to create some much-needed separation and ultimately secure the 10-point dub, not to mention their rightful place in March Madness. So after all of that, the stat sheet looked like this. CSU's best player, McKenna Hofschild, yeah, I said it, best player, led the Rams by far with a game-high 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. And besides that, no one really else stepped up, with her usual running mate and dynamic duo partner, Upe Atasu, not really looking like herself, only going for 10 points, while Carly Murphy and potentially her final game as a Ram did just slightly better with 12. And like I mentioned, UNLV was led by none other than Essence Booker with 25, 5, and 5, while the rest of the Rebs' scoring was scattered throughout the rest of the roster. After this heartbreaking L out west in Vegas, the Rams now have to play a waiting game to see if they'll play any more basketball this season. And no, I am not talking about the NCAA tournament, I'm talking about the WNIT, which the Green and Gold have a decent chance of making come March 13th. So overall, while this was definitely an up and down year for Coach Williams' squad, they did finish out Mountain West play pretty strong. And look, if I were a team they might play in the WNIT, I'd say this. With how they've been playing recently, the Rams aren't a team that I'd want to see come next week. That's all I'm saying. And now that we've gotten through all of that on the hardwood, I just had to end the night off with some shocking news out of Broncos country that broke just on Tuesday. So we all know that Aaron Rodgers was never actually going to come to Denver, right? Well, I wouldn't exactly worry about that anymore because Russell Wilson, yes, that Russell Wilson, is coming to Denver in one of the most shocking and, yes, I will admit it, unexpected trades in NFL history. Like the Broncos, after years and years of guys like Paxton Lynch and Drew Lock, finally have a franchise quarterback. Am I dreaming? Well, to put it lightly, I already pinched myself, and yes, this is completely real. So how did this all go down exactly? Well, due to the genius of Denver GM George Paton. That's how. So to get a guy as talented as Russ, the Broncos were obviously going to have to give up some really strong assets to Seattle in return. And they sure did, giving up 2 firsts, including their one this year, and 2 seconds as well. Not to mention some starters, including tight end Noah Fant, QB Drew Lock, and defensive lineman Shelby Harris, who I will personally miss dearly. I honestly feel like Denver gave up less than I thought they would here and got a complete steal with this one. I mean, look at it this way. This is definitely less than the amount the Pack wanted for a guy like A-Rod and way, way lower than what Houston is shopping around Deshaun Watson at. So honestly, I think the Broncos, and more importantly Peyton, did really, really well here. Besides losing Fant, their offensive weapons are all intact and ready to break out under Russ's leadership. Not to mention that they didn't even mortgage their future that much to do it. Sure, while losing those 2 firsts isn't ideal, they still have 3 top 100 picks in this upcoming draft alone. Not to mention $23 million still left over in cap space after the trade, which means they will have plenty of room to address their positions of need in free agency, which includes edge, corner, linebacker, and tackle. All in all, quarterback is by far the most important position on the field. And as we've seen over the past few years from Denver, when you don't have one, especially when you have to play guys like Mahomes and Herbert twice a year, you'll end up struggling. So I don't care at all what it took. This team finally has their franchise guy for years to come. And I'll end things off with this. With the move, the Broncos just went from pretenders to contenders in the snap of a finger. And man, I just can't wait to see number 3 finally bring this franchise back to the postseason. But okay, Ram fans, that is all the sports action I have for you tonight. Have a wonderful spring break, and we'll see you all super soon. Stay safe, and we'll be back in about a week or so.